Welcome to this Padel. Today we have Scott London. He's an entrepreneur, so I'm very happy to have a Padel entrepreneur here in our studio in Miami. He lives close by, so I think we're going to have him here like showing more of the things he's building, and he has a wide experience on his field. So Scott has created a new brand he's wearing, looks like Boca Juniors, and I love it because I'm Ceneice. But it's GLDN Point, which is also that makes Padel very specific. So Scott, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. I would like to know, how did you discover Padel?
How did I first find Padel? I think like a lot of people, I came from tennis. A lot of people in the States, I came from tennis. I was playing tennis just for fun, a few times a week. And a friend of mine introduced me to Padel at Wynwood, which I think at the time, well, there was Real as well, but Real and Wynwood, maybe 8 courts, 10 courts to play in all of Miami.
Yeah.
And I started playing right before COVID, and then a lot during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I started playing more and more. It was one of the few things that you could do outside, and everybody felt good about it. And I slowly started dissolving my tennis game and went from 1 or 2 days a week of Padel to now I'm probably 5 or 6 days a week of Padel.
Wow, so Padel addict.
Yes,
Yeah.
full Padel addict.
Welcome. Like I started with.
Yeah, exactly.
I see. So you're a Padel addict, but also you've been like fashion lifestyle entrepreneur for a long time.
Yes.
So this is your 4th brand?
This is my 3rd real lifestyle brand.
Wow.
Yes.
So which were the previous ones? Your previous babies that now they are flying free?
I was part of a group that started a skateboard company called Zoo York. There was a skateboard brand, and then my groups launched the clothing aspect of it, and then another brand called, and there's some similarities about the 2 brands, but another brand called Baby Fat, which was a hip hop clothing brand.
Okay. So that's super interesting. And how do you connect that with Padel? What are the similarities, not in the clothing itself, but in those niches?
Well, something that you and I had once discussed is the niches is in the communities, in the tribe. What's really interesting, I think, about Padel is there's such a community, such a tight-knit community, and there's so much to say about this, right? But people say it's the new golf. It's right there. It's 4 people going out to do something together. It's really become my whole social life.
Wow.
Yeah, so that community, especially when we used to just play at Wynwood, was so tight. You knew everybody that was playing. If I walked on into the club, I knew everybody that was on every court. And now it's grown quite a bit, but it's still like all the different places that I play. It's you still have that real sense of community, and that community, I think, is very similar to skateboarding. It's very similar to snowboarding. I actually always think that skiing and snowboarding is similar to Padel and tennis.
Okay.
So I think that Padel is the edgier, cooler version of tennis, the way snowboarding is to skiing.
Yeah, and also you don't have to go and grab all the balls when you're practicing.
Yes, exactly.
And they don't go that far. And also, to me, a big advantage is, let's say you want to play tennis, the space is bigger, you need more space, but also it's difficult to level. Like with Padel,
yes,
you have fun even there's a big difference between levels, but everybody has some kind of fun.
100%. Yeah, I think that's great. Like
social.
you really need in tennis, you need 2 people to be more or less equal, or you're chasing balls, and as we know, like in tennis today, it's all, especially like if you see like in men's tennis, it's who can hit the ball harder, right? For the most part, it's gotten a little more fun in the last year or so, but in Padel there's more trick shots in the same way, again, like skiing, like in snowboarding you're having a little bit more fun than just skiing down the slopes, and in Padel it's the same thing. Like you're constantly saying good get or something, and or wow, that was great shot.
Yeah, there's kind of a honor code too.
Yeah,
right?
as real. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah,
I like
sure.
it. And also, like, just to start playing in tennis can take you months just to learn how to serve.
Yes.
And Padel is really quick to start enjoying, and then you want to improve, but the beginnings are very sweet. Like the learning curve is very fast.
Yes, a friend of mine, in terms of serving, a friend of mine that I used to play tennis with all the time, invented a game called Fennis, and it was basically our coach, the pro that we would work with every week, would really serve the ball in. So instead, he takes the serving out, so it just moves the game much faster.
Yeah.
And so with serving, now you're not trying to ace anybody. So there's 4 beginners can go out and have an incredible point together.
Yes, and I love it. It's so funny then watching it. I record me and my friends sometimes, and then when you see it again, it's like, oh no, how did we do this?
Yeah, it's true.
So it's hilarious somehow.
Yeah, but hilarious. Everybody's laughing on the court,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And that's not the same in tennis.
The amount of joy that you get with paddle is very different from any other sport.
Yes, I agree.
When did you decide to create the brand? After being playing for several years, you felt like, okay, that's now the moment to create my own brand in paddle.
I saw that there was, first of all, there was an opportunity, a really interesting opportunity that there was no pure paddle brand, especially in the States. And I wanted to create something that was by paddle players for paddle players. It reminded me very much of like FUBU, which was for us, by us. So I felt like this was something that really represented me, my lifestyle, my community that I was part of, and it was needed. And I always said that if I was going to go back in the clothing business, it would be in activewear, because everybody's wearing activewear now. So I wanted to make a great product for the community.
At what point you decided to start the company, like really as a business, as a startup? When I saw your deck, I really liked it, because I felt like you had all the figures, the opportunities, the challenges, and it's a pure pitch deck. So I felt like this is like a tech business, like a thing that is meant for today's life and the way business are built. It's easy to have an idea, but it's not that easy to execute. So what's your vision to make it happen, not just have the idea?
Well, like you and I discussed, I knew enough to get myself in trouble. Like the world changed where I used to sell wholesale. I used to design, manufacture. While we were manufacturing, I would call on stores and say, hey, give my product a shot. And now the world's changed where it's direct to consumer for the most part. But like we discussed, we're doing some green grass business. We should talk about that with Fromouth, the country clubs. But so I called an old designer that I used to work with from Fila years and years ago. And I got in touch with a great production person, and I decided to put this brand together to give it a shot. Probably about a year ago, and it took us. I started last September in 2023. Our first collection launched in June of 24.
Okay.
So the catalyst was really like, you know what, I want to make a great short, I want to make a great shirt, there's a lot of in-betweens. I really wanted to make great product, some great units. I didn't need to have a full collection like Lululemon has or Aloe has. I wanted specific styles that a girl was like, yeah, I need to have that skirt, or a guy was like, I need to have that short. So
correct me if I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. I mean, but it's a little bit like athleisure, right? That new, let's say, intersection.
Yes. So, we're from Miami, so I always like to say that I think one of our shirts is a great shirt that you can wear every day. You can wear it to play paddle. You can wear it to Pura Vida.
Okay.
You can wear it to the gym. You can wear it whenever you want.
No, that's the thing I wanted to point out, because it's super interesting that after paddle we're gonna go like this, so it's like cute, but at the same time something that like reviewing the deck got my attention is that you are paying attention or putting attention to detail, right? Like you are aware of the ball, so you have pockets, but at the same time they don't get wet. So what are the specific things that you've added that make it for paddle?
Any other brand I've been involved with, I always had to imagine or speak to somebody about. So Baby Fat, my partner and I used to joke around every month. We would see the designs and we would joke about which would be the best seller, and we were always wrong. It wasn't made for us, So how would I really know? Yeah. and Zurich, it was for a much younger audience. For Golden Point, I'm really thinking, first of all, living down here in Miami, there 6 months, it's very hot.
Yes.
So I don't know if this was just something that a brand born in Miami is thinking about, but we are sweating so much. So I said, oh, you know what, let's make waterproof pockets. So this way, when you grab the ball and you put it in your pocket, it doesn't get soaking wet and for the next point.
Yeah.
So we made water resistant, waterproof pockets, quick drying, and that's something that's great for both the men and the women.
No, that's a key differentiator for your brand. Also, one thing that I like is the name, right? Because it's a very paddle thing. So how did you get into the Golden Point idea?
You know, the name Golden Point's really interesting. And I'll tell you, when I first started the brand, a friend of mine helped me, and he's actually a partner as well now. A friend of mine helped me with coming up with the name. And originally I thought, like, you know what, this is going to be a crazy thing. I'm thinking about all the shorts, the shirt, and all these things. But I'll probably end up giving a bunch of clothes away for free and to my friends, and that'll be it. It's a crazy idea. But we started talking about Golden Point, and he said, well, you know, what is Golden Point? What does it mean? And I said, well, you know, it's in lieu of deuce, as we know. And it means sudden death. It means make the next moment count. And we were talking about how that's the ethos of the brand, make the next moment count, on and off the court. So it's a way, you and I discussed before, that there's that tension. Instead of deuce, add in, add out, it's back and forth. It's
now.
It's now. Make the next moment count now. And it's a good way to live your life.
But also, like, you don't have vowels, right? So it's kind of a game or...
Well, you know, I was involved in a company called Watermelon Water, actually, and it was the same thing, WTR, MLN, WTR, and this is sort of a nod to that a little bit, and I like how it looks.
I like it.
You like it?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, where are the clothes designed, built, and then distributed? How is that process?
So designing can be as much as 9 months or more.
Wow.
You know, when you first start picking fabrics, you pick fabrics first. You start thinking about styles. You start thinking about colorways. You start trying to understand what the trends are, what people like in that particular community. And I really want to differentiate ourselves from tennis. It's not much difference in terms of it's very similar. The pocket is still holding a tennis ball, right? The skirt's still holding a tennis ball. You're still playing a racket sport, and I think the brand works for the larger racket sport world. But we start thinking about all these different things 9 months or more out, and we start sampling. We'll sketch up some product.
Let's see.
Yeah. So let me show you. So this is something these are designs that we came up with. This is actually fall. This is launching November, right?
Okay.
Yeah, in a month. So we'll start sketching different sketches and putting boards together.
So this is for the cold weather, right?
Yes, that's our first sweatshirt. We're trying to be, our first capsule was pure performance, pure on the court. This is our first athleisure, which you can wear off the court. But it's something it's actually one of my favorite garments, favorite items right now. And we make a performance shirt. So this is more or less strictly on the court, but some people really like it. This is my favorite garment, which is the lyocell fabric. This is what I'm saying.
It's a little bit asymmetric, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh. Yes. Exactly. The bra top is great. What's different also, the last time I was in this world, it was really sports bras. Now it's bra tops. Now the girl wants to be able to wear it, you know, to Pura Vida, to wherever, to on and off the court, right?
Yeah. The après ski idea, the après Padel idea.
Yes, exactly. That's very good analogy,
I like
actually.
it.
Yes.
I love this color. I have a big connection with this purple.
Related
to Antoniette.
Oh.
Antonio Chanel. It used to be this color. Oh, you have it here. Cool.
Yeah, let me show you. Yes.
I see. And once you have this, then it gets
beautiful
into production.
Color, actually.
Yeah, and
So So after these designs, we sample. We have to deal with the fit. We have a fit model that comes in. It's actually my partner's wife is our fit model for the women, and I've been doing the fit model for the men. And you try to get the fit perfect to your specific brand, and then you go into production.
Okay.
Yeah.
And once you have it, how are you distributing it?
So right now we're doing the distribution is 90% online, direct to consumer, advertising and marketing through Instagram, through all the meta channels, through TikTok, everywhere you can, just to get stuff
to get
the word out there.
Yeah.
And then we partnered with Fromuth, which is, as you know, which is a great distributor, the biggest distributor for racket sports. That would be
the dream for any racket brand in the US.
It was it was so great. As you know, so the owner, the son, Connor, is a huge paddle player.
Yeah. I met him in Reserve, New York.
Okay, yes.
So he's over there all the time.
Yes, yeah. A friend of mine from Reserve told me that he's there all the time playing, and Connor's love for the game is what drove that partnership.
Okay, so right now people can buy online too. What's your price point? How do you do that? Because that position, I think, is very important for a brand, especially at the beginning, right?
Yes, 100%. And you really, once you establish yourself, you can't really go back. But we're making really high-end garments. Okay. I'm modeling myself more of like a G4 or something like that, as opposed to a G4, which is also very specific from golf and high-quality garments. We're probably about anywhere from a $68 to $78 price point on some items, up to $100, $120 on the sweatshirt, things like that.
Okay, so it's something you've stated that people are willing to pay.
Yes, it's definitely a better garment. It's not an inexpensive garment. There are a lot of products out there. Like you can go to Amazon these days and search for short, and you have something for $15. So we're not that. We're putting a lot of thought into the garment. The fabrics are very good. The cut and sew is very good. We are like see here the neck taping. It says "Who wants it" in there. So, from the golden point.
Yeah. I like it. We have to do later. I'll let it
and one of the other garments I may be able to the garments I bought for you. You can
because that's
actually
the typical question, who wants it? And
yes, exactly.
So it makes a lot of sense. And since the beginning, you've been thinking about men and women, because I feel that there are a lot of things for women, but not that many for men in paddle in the U.S. Not out of.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I've always thought of it to be both. I love the community that it's men and women playing. Mm-hmm. It reminds me of tennis from the early, when I used to play, years ago, where the men are there really early, the women come in, they start doing clinics, but the women are as addicted as the men. Yeah. And it's great.
Yeah, and it's one of those sports that play mixed is quite common, right?
Yes.
So it's also different.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot of fun. I love watching the women play. And for me, as an amateur, I can watch the pro women play. It's kind of better than watching the men play, because the women play a purer game than the men.
Yeah, and when you see a woman playing top, you can take notes. Like something when it's men is like, I'm gonna enjoy the show and that's it. Yeah,
exactly. It's very true.
Yeah. And about the mixtos, I have an instructor, a coach, Juan Carlos Deseo, that I'm a big fan of him. He's from Argentina, he lives in Spain. And he said, when you play a mixto, it's either two-way or for dating. You win or date. Yeah. There's no other option, Rosa. Just for that. And it's so funny. So
it's true.
Every time I'm invited to a mixto, this one is for the other thing.
What were his plans on that one?
It's so funny. What's your favorite club here? Where do you usually play?
I don't know if I have a favorite club, but it moves
difficult.
around.
It's a bad question, to be honest.
It moves around a lot. I play, I drop my son off at school, and then I'll go play at Ultra. Okay. I joined Sunset Paddle, and I love playing there. It's been raining for 5 weeks. I'm so happy about this place.
Perfect timing for Rafi and his team, right?
Yes, 100%. And it's great. He's really created a great clubhouse, a great community as well. It's just it's beautiful inside. It's a really nice hangout. I love playing at reserve. You know, it's such a Miami thing. You're playing at reserve, and the background you have the buildings and the water at Seaplane. It's great.
Yes. And who is your instructor when you want to improve? How do you take lessons? Do you rely on your background?
So I was taking lessons from Guille, who was at Ultra for years, and I was probably taking lessons twice a week. Lately, I've been taking lessons from Pablo. Yeah.
And Pablo in Sunset.
At Sunset, yeah.
Yeah, the twin brothers.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they're great.
As a matter of fact, I had a lesson with Pablo yesterday. We had some funny back and forth about that.
Yeah. So also one thing that is very interesting to me related to the brand is, okay, we've been talking about Miami, but what about the rest of the U.S.? You and I talked about this, that I often think that when I'm talking about paddle that I'm exaggerating, and then I realize that no, I'm actually I'm under exaggerating about how fast it's growing. So we sponsor a lot of tournaments, trying to get the word out there, and meaning we give gift certificates to the winners of tournaments. We did tournaments in North Carolina, in Colorado, San Diego, Denver. It's happening. Obviously, New York. It's starting to blow up now. Paddle House and is there, which is doing great, and Reserve is there. I spoke to somebody that has a place in Teaneck, New Jersey, just yesterday. Yeah, so it's really blowing up. Yeah, we're not aware of how fast it's growing because you discover new clubs, even with 2-3 courts, but in new places, right?
Yes, exactly.
So it's super interesting. I think you're at the right timing to start building your brand when the interest in paddle is growing. So
I really want to get people to understand the importance of what a brand means to a community and to a sport. It really brings a cohesiveness to everything, right? If you think about Lululemon or Burton or OP or Supreme, it brought the community together.
Yeah, and that's also a differentiator, like that idea of belonging.
Yes.
It's totally different. And related to your entrepreneurial background, one of the things I really like on your deck it's that you can feel all the knowledge you have. So it's not a first-time entrepreneur, but you have a very clear playbook on building a brand.
I think the only real playbook for any entrepreneur is persistence. Okay. And it was definitely different when I was younger. Your ignorance is bliss. But doing it now, it's a little harder. It's a little bit like, okay, stay with this, stick with this, and you want things right away, but things take time, and you got to just be persistent and stay with it.
So also the funding, are you self-funded? You're raising funds? Do you have, investors? How is it working?
I've been self-funding. I've been self-funding this whole year. The deck that you're talking about, really, that was a media deck for you, but I am putting financials in that, and I'm starting to raise money right now.
Okay, so that's also like a D2C brand. Like there are funds that are specialized in that, both venture capital and more like later stage funds.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about going and pitching this? Because maybe they're like, oh, we're going to build courts, or we're going to do...
I want to go to the community first. I want to make sure we have strategic investors, because there are so many people involved. Like you mentioned Rafi, there's so many people that have a love for paddle, like Wayne, right? Have a love for paddle and then want to bring paddle out to the rest of the world. There's so many entrepreneurs that it's not just like, oh, let me see this thing over here and I'm going to invest in it. They actually play all the time and they're addicted like we are. So I want to reach out to those people first, and people that have experience, whether they own clubs or whatever it is, and have them be partners.
Okay. And do you see yourself sponsoring also players, or how does it work?
I go back and forth. I think the answer is yes. But here in the States right now, very few people know who the pro players are. Probably you and I know them, but a lot of other people don't. It's more of a game
They're all coaches at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's true too. Right? They're all coaches here in the States, and also there hasn't historically been a lot of money in paddle. Yeah. So I heard rumors about the different tournaments that have come from Europe here, that only the top 4 players actually made enough money to even pay for their trips to the States. But that's really starting to change. It's starting to change for the sponsorships for clothing and rackets and whatever else, and it's starting to change in prize money. But now you see like a lot of the pros that we play with, they're basically going around town hustling, and they're around the country, and they're playing in like Red Paddle with Charles. They're playing in these places. They're playing and winning money now.
Yeah, I'm happy because that shows that there's a maturity in the market, in the ecosystem. So that's a really good sign. Like when they talk about like 15 years ago, maybe Bella was giving lessons. So those players that are on the later stage of their career, when they see what Padel has become now, they feel like, I'm happy that these guys can be 100% dedicated and they don't need to give lessons. It's not that you like it or not, but it was the way to just make a living from paddle, not having like an office job.
Right.
So I think
like probably people don't even know the name Bella, like you're saying, where Bella is like saying Michael Jordan was giving you lessons, giving your kid basketball lessons, right? I mean, that's how big, right?
But just 15 years ago or something like that, like, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I think that's gonna change. Hopefully, it could be a good sign. That would mean that paddle is like growing in a healthy way.
Yeah, let the pros be pros. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
So before we leave, I wanted to ask you, when are we gonna see your next collection, and how often are we gonna see more? I don't know if I'm Spanish, so Zara.
Yeah, Zara.
They have their own thing, like continuously,
so
like delivering, what's your point?
I am not planning on doing seasons, and I'm not planning on doing drops and collections. The last brand, Baby Fat, we did 30 new styles every single month.
Wow.
It was insane.
You don't even know the names, or?
Yeah, no, it was just a grind daily, and I think that model's kind of broken anyway. I like sort of the Supreme model, the more, like I was saying, item driven. Yeah. So, but our next collection, even though it's small type capsule, drops probably the first week or second week of November, something like that. We just shot the photos for it. So I think we should have that, and then by mid-November. And I may do 1 or 2 pieces in January, and then the next big collection is actually, I think I may have it. I can give you.
Show us.
Yes. This is a hint of it.
It's more like terracotta style.
Yeah. There's a hint of this is what may.
This is a little sunset, right? Like the colors that match. Okay.
So this is actually for spring of next year.
Okay, so you're thinking forward, right? Like,
yes,
I mean, that's far.
Oh, we're already thinking about summer of next year, and we'll start fall very soon.
So it's gonna be dresses for the first time, right?
Yeah, so do dresses for the first time, and the legging for the first time.
This is very Lululemon thing.
It has pockets over the balls.
That's important.
Yes.
And the hoodie. So
and the hoodie. Unisex hoodie.
This is classic, right?
Yeah. This is really just so I can wear around town.
Yes. But I like also like the style of the skirt. Everything is cool.
The skirts are great. We get a lot of compliments on the skirts. We get a lot of compliments on the bra tops.
So those have the pockets too?
Yes, these have bike shorts in them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Bike short. That's important too. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. All the skirts
attention
have bike
to detail, right?
Like the detail, the logo
is the form
placement.
and function, which is important.
Very, very. It's performance driven. Most of our garments, everything up to date has been performance. So we're thinking about the guy and the girl on the court, what they need.
Mm-hmm. So which could be your biggest challenges right now? If you need to take something out of the equation, like this is kind of a stopper.
The biggest challenge is getting the brand out there. We're all flooded with stuff on Instagram, right? And that's the real place to market. You get great. When we used to advertise in my last brand, we would advertise in Vogue or Mademoiselle or something like that. And you're advertising into the ether back then, right? You didn't know if it worked or it didn't work. So now you know where you're advertising. You know exactly who's clicking on it, exactly who that person is, the demographic, and if they're going from Instagram, from Meta to the website, how long they're staying on the website, all that information. But there's just so much out there. So cutting through all the noise is probably our biggest challenge. And that's why I think the community is so important.
Okay, and in which tournaments can we like play to win some of your gear?
We sponsor tournaments in locally. We sponsor tournaments at Ultra. We sponsor tournaments at Wynwood. We sponsor tournaments at Champions, at One Paddle. Yeah, and we're expanding. I think we're trying to do something. There's a really cool, it's not a tournament, but a league that's at Reserve.
Oh, wow. I went on Tuesday. I went on Tuesday, and this is really well organized. I really liked it.
It's somebody named Brian from Chicago. He's doing a great job. Yeah.
Through Santi, and I was like, wow, this is super good because, some of them were professionals. Some of them were like amateurs that played really well, but the atmosphere and the ambience was pro.
Right.
Like I guess that if I were in the court, I would feel like a pro.
You know what? Wayne does a great job with production, right?
Yes.
He really does a very, very, very good job, and he's elevated the sport. It's an aspirational sport here.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in Ibiza over the summer, and I'm telling people that it's an aspirational game, an aspirational lifestyle, they're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, what are you talking about?
Those Miami people, right?
Yeah, exactly. But here it is. It's been elevated in such a way where it's the production out there is great.
Okay, so thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much, Rosa. Thank you.
And hope to have you here back very soon with new news, things to share, new collections, and maybe, I don't know if you are sponsoring players or whatever, like this is, feel at home with us.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm gonna